Hi, my name is Alex Baker, and this is my Fall 2013 15-112 term project. For my term project, I decided to do a desktop application of fantasy football. If you wish to, you can pause the video now and read through the objectives and instructions that will help you to understand the application as well as this video. Moving on, each week the users must submit a roster card. So let's go to the roster card tab. When I click on roster card, you can see that the current tab indicator changes to my roster card, and it displays the current week that we are in. Now I want to select my players that I want to play for this current week. So I click on the first player, which is a list of players from the rankings that are the top 7 at the quarterback position. So it's tier A, quarterbacks, is the position slot. And for this week, I can cycle through the players and select each player, and as you see, when I select a player, it updates the data to the right. It shows that player's rank, which is the position in the list. It shows the average points for that player up until this week of the season, and then it shows the projected points for this week and the opponent. The average points is simply a average of the player's points up to that week in the season. The projected points is taking the list of the players of the points that the player has scored for the year and does a linear regression of those values and then extrapolates that linear regression line onto the next week to see a sort of accurate projection of what the player will score. And then the opponent is pulled from a list of values that finds the player's team and who that team is playing for the week and returns that team as the opponent. So as you can see, if you click on different ones, it will automatically update the data to your right. So as you click through, you see who you want to play for this week. And I see that Cam Newton is playing Tampa Bay, who has a poor defense, and he has a pretty high projection for this week, so I will choose him. And then you go throughout the list, and for my second quarterback, I will choose Phillip Rivers. He's playing Cincinnati and has a relatively high projection. So I make my way through this list, selecting my players as I go. And as I finish selecting all of my players, I can review who I have selected so far, maybe make any changes I want to make. Maybe I'll select Josh Gordon instead of Demaryius Thomas. And then finally, as you can see at the bottom, I get to enter my username, which I'm going to enter Alex Baker as my name, and I hit submit roster. So that is the roster that I will be putting into submitting for the next week, or the week that is upcoming, week 13. But the leaderboards page, if I move over to that, displays the leaderboards for the previous week, which has already occurred and the points have actually been tabulated. They're not just projections. So if I go to the leaderboards page, it shows me week 12 now, and it shows me a list of the players, or the users that have submitted their roster for the previous week. As you can see, most of the usernames have the same last name because those are my family members that entered them over Thanksgiving. As you can see, the average rank is an average of the rank of each position for that roster that the user submitted. The projected points is a sum of the projection for that roster, and the total points over on the right is the points that were actually scored. As you can see, the projection is not always accurate because it is a linear regression, and the fluctuation throughout the statistics in the NFL is not very linear. So sometimes you beat your projection and sometimes you fall short of your projection, but that's why they're projected. So as you can see, this ideal roster is the highest points possible for that last week. It is the players who scored the most at each slot in the roster and therefore have been selected for the ideal roster. This past week, I won. I came closest to that ideal value, and I was followed by the rest of my family members. If I move over to the About tab, it explains how the points are tabulated, and it explains where the ranks come from. The ranks are web scraped from an ESPN page where 4 senior writers make ranks for each week based on how they expect the players to score. The points are calculated using the standard rules for most fantasy football leagues, such as 4 points for a passing touchdown, 6 points for a rushing or receiving touchdown, and 10 points or 10 yards per point for most yards. The average points, as I said before, are simple average. Projections are the linear regression, and it says a little bit at the bottom about who made it, my name, Alex Baker, and what I used within Python to make it. Thank you very much.